Hello, we're looking at 5b, which is taken from the algebra chapter 5, and we're focusing on substituting and evaluating. So let's go through the key ideas and then we'll do some questions together. So first of all, we need to work out what the terms evaluate and substitute actually mean. So to evaluate an expression, so that means to work it out, or to substitute values, means to replace each pronumeral in an expression with a number to obtain the final value. Okay, so we're putting a numerical value in for your pronumeral. So for this example here, we're letting x equal 3. Okay, so we're given the pronumeral a numerical value and y is equal to 8. Okay, so that could be anything. Could be x equals 2, y equals 1, but in this case we're letting x equal 3 and y equals 8. So for your expression x plus 2y, we're just going to put these values in. So everywhere we see x, we put the number 3, and everywhere we see y, we put the number 8. So you can see here, instead of the number x, I have 3, and then instead of 2y, I have 2 times 8. So evaluating that is 3 plus 2 times 8, which is 19. All right, the second point, a term like 4a, you should know, is 4 times a. So there's an imaginary multiply sign in between the 4 and the a. When substituting a number, we must consider the multiplication operation, since 2 numbers written is 42 is very different from the product 4 times 2. So if we say let a equal 2, so just for example here, a equals 2, for a doesn't mean you write 4, 2, okay, because it is 4 times a, which is 4 times 2. So that's what that second point is telling you. All right, and lastly, once an expression contains no pronumerals, evaluate using the normal order of operations seen in chapter 1. Okay, so we do the brackets, then we do multiplication and division from left to right, and then addition and subtraction from left to right. So you can see in the example there. All right, I'm just going to scroll on to the questions. All right, so here, question taken from your textbook. So I'm not going to do every single one. I'm going to do maybe I'll do 3 from here. So the ones that I don't do, I'd like you to have a go. All right, so let's start with the easy one, which is always a. Okay, so in this question, we're going to let a equal 2 and b equal 3. So everywhere we see a, we put in the number 2, substitute the number 2, and everywhere we see b, we substitute in the number 3. Okay, so the first one is 2a plus 4. So instead of having the letter a there, so remember it's 2 times a, I'm going to put in the number 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 plus 4, and then that is equal to 8. Okay, let's go. Oh, I don't want to do the same one. Just go on to a harder one. Let's do F. 7ab plus b. Now, if it's easier for you, before we do the substitution, you can separate your coefficient from your pronumerals if you wanted to by putting the multiply sign in. Just make sure you don't get your multiply and your pluses mixed up, because you're going to get you might get the wrong answer. Okay, so 7 stays. A, remember, is 2, so I'm going to put in the number 2 there. B is 3, so I'll put in the number 3, and then we've got plus b again, so it's going to be plus 3. So your order of operations, we do the multiplies first. So 7 times 2 is 14, and then 14 times 3 is, 28, 42. Another way of doing it is you could do 7 times 6, which is also 42. Okay, if you don't know your 14 times tables. Okay, so 42 plus 3 gives you 45. All right, let's do one of the division ones now. Now I'm looking here at question I. It's a bit tricky, but I don't think things are as complicated as you might think. Okay, let's do K. Okay, so we've got AB divided by 3 plus B. So remember, there's a multiply sign in there, so you can rewrite it as A times B over 3 plus B. Remember, A is 2, so it's going to be 2 times B, which is 3 over 3 plus, and then B is also going to have another 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. And then I'm going to write the answer here just so it's don't have to move the screen. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we're going to have 2 plus 3, and then your final answer is 5. Now, if there's a lot of working out, you can always put a little square around your final answer, just so you're basically telling yourself or telling whoever is looking at your work that you know what the final answer is. Okay, I think I said I was going to do 4, but I might just leave it at 3. And move on to the next question. All right, so evaluate the expression 5x plus 2y. Okay, so this time we've got the expression stays the same, and this time we've got different values of x and y. So you can say in this case they're variables. Okay, so x and y are changing. So let's look at question A. So when I'm substituting in values, I do like to put in brackets. I can't remember whether I did before, whether it was actually required. And this is only because sometimes we get confused. And especially if you've got negative numbers, sometimes you can get confused if you've got negative. So I just always think if I'm substituting something in, I put it in brackets. So you can see here, I've got 5 times x, so x is 3. So that's why it's 3 there. And then 2y, in this case, y is 6, so it's 2 times 6. So 5 times 3 is 15, and then 2 times 6 is 12, and then add them together, and we get 27. All right, I might just do 2 of these. Let's do E. So x equals 2, and y equals 0. So I've got 5x, which in this case is 2, and then 2y, 2, 0. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 0 is 0. So your final answer is just 10. Okay. And I think that might be it. No, I've got another question. Sorry, just couldn't scroll. There we go. All right. So this one here, they're slightly harder because we're looking at powers and square roots. But the same things apply. Okay. We're just doing a straight substitution. It's just a little bit more complicated. So if we look at A, we've got 3c squared. So it's telling us c is 5. So I'm going to put 5 in brackets and then square it. So 5 squared is 25. So 3 times 25 is 75. Okay, let's do D. It looks a little bit complicated. So we've got 2b squared plus a over 3 minus 2c. I know with the other one I didn't write the whole thing out, but I have here. Okay, so b is 3, so I'm going to put 3 in. And then a is 9, so I'm going to write 9. But notice how I'm not actually doing any simplifying. You might think, oh, I could skip this step. But while you're learning, it's just a good idea not to skip steps because often that's when we make mistakes. So just take your time, write everything out. I know you probably think, oh, I know that's 9. I know that's going to be 3, but just take your time. Okay, so here we've got 2 times 3 squared. So 3 squared is 9. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, you'll notice that I've done my brackets, I've done my division, and I've done my multiplication. So I'm really following the order of operations. Now I'll do this multiplication. So 2 times 9 is 18. And then you've got plus 3 minus 10. So 18 plus 3 is 21. Again, you probably think, oh, I could skip that step. But sometimes it's a good idea always to have your working out so we know if you get something wrong, where you went wrong. All right, let's do a square root one. So let's do f. So this time we've got the square root of b squared plus 4 squared. So b in this case is 3. So we're going to have 3 squared plus 4 squared. Now when you do square roots, I always find it easier to do your square root sign at the end because sometimes you might do it too big or too small. Okay, so 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. And then we've got 9 plus 16, which is 25. And then the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, so work through slowly with substitution. If you're going to make a mistake, it's because you're rushing. Okay, so just take your time with the questions. All right, bye.